Welcome to our channel, where today we're examining a remarkable diplomatic encounter that has sent shockwaves across the international stage. The recent meeting between President Donald Trump and Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky in the Oval Office has become one of the most talked about diplomatic events in recent memory, and for good reason. What began as a formal diplomatic meeting quickly transformed into an unprecedented confrontation that has significant implications for international relations, particularly regarding the ongoing conflict in Eastern Europe. Let's break down what happened and why it matters. The meeting started conventionally enough, with both leaders exchanging pleasantries and expressing their commitment to strengthening bilateral relations. On the agenda were discussions about a potential minerals agreement and strategies to achieve peace in Eastern Europe, where conflict has persisted for years. For the first 40 minutes, the conversation appeared to be proceeding as planned. Both presidents discussed matters of mutual interest, and there seemed to be a genuine effort to find common ground. However, the tone of the meeting shifted dramatically when a journalist posed a question about President Trump's relationship with Russian President Vladimir Putin. The question specifically suggested concerns about the United States potentially aligning too closely with Russia, a sensitive topic given the context of Russia's involvement in the ongoing conflict with Ukraine. President Trump responded firmly, saying, "I'm aligned with the United States of America, and for the good of the world, I'm aligned with the world." This statement was clearly intended to refute any suggestion that his policies might favor Russian interests over American ones. At this point, Vice President Vance entered the conversation, emphasizing the importance of diplomacy in international relations. He stated, "The path to peace and the path to prosperity is maybe engaging in diplomacy. What makes America a good country is America engaging in diplomacy." Vance's comments appeared to defend the administration's approach to foreign policy, particularly in relation to the conflict in Eastern Europe. President Zelensky, however, clearly took issue with this characterization of diplomacy. He responded by providing a historical context for the conflict, reminding those present that the Russo-Ukrainian War began in 2014, years before his own presidency. He highlighted the numerous attempts at negotiation and the multiple ceasefires that had been agreed upon, but subsequently violated by Russia. In what became the most pivotal moment of the meeting, Zelensky directly challenged Vice President Vance, asking, "What kind of diplomacy, JD, you are speaking about?" This question was not merely rhetorical. It reflected the frustration of a leader whose country has endured years of conflict despite numerous diplomatic initiatives. The atmosphere in the Oval Office became noticeably tense following this exchange. Vice President Vance appeared to interpret Zelensky's question as disrespectful, suggesting that it was inappropriate for a foreign leader to air grievances in front of the American media. He made assertions about Ukraine's military situation, claiming that the country was forcing conscripts to the front lines due to manpower shortages. Perhaps most controversially, Vance implied that President Zelensky should be more grateful for the United States' efforts to resolve the conflict. This suggestion of ingratitude clearly struck a nerve with the Ukrainian president, who responded by inviting Vice President Vance to visit the situation firsthand. Zelensky's invitation was simple but powerful. "Come once." This brief statement carried significant weight, implying that Vance's understanding of the conflict might change if you witnessed the reality on the ground in Ukraine. Vice President Vance dismissed this invitation, characterizing such visits as propaganda tours. He then questioned whether it was appropriate for Zelensky to criticize the U.S. administration while in the Oval Office, further escalating the tension in the room. The confrontation reached its peak when President Zelensky suggested that the United States might eventually feel the impact of the war if it continues to spread. This comment appeared to touch a nerve with President Trump, who interrupted Zelensky and admonished him not to dictate how the United States should feel about the conflict. Trump emphasized that America would remain strong regardless of the outcome in Ukraine, while also pointing out that Ukraine's position was precarious and heavily dependent on U.S. support. In one of the most striking statements of the meeting, Trump warned Zelensky, "You're gambling with millions of lives. You're gambling with World War III." This stark warning underscored the gravity of the situation and the potential global implications of the conflict. Vice President Vance then returned to the theme of gratitude, questioning whether President Zelensky had adequately expressed appreciation for the support received from the United States. He also made a claim that would later be proven incorrect, accusing Zelensky of campaigning for the opposition in Pennsylvania in October 2024. In reality, as fact-checkers have since confirmed, Zelensky had visited a factory in Pennsylvania to thank workers who were producing ammunition for Ukraine. This mischaracterization of Zelensky's activities in the U.S. added another layer of tension to an already strained encounter. As the confrontation continued to intensify, President Trump expressed his frustration more directly. He asserted that without U.S. military equipment, the war would have ended unfavorably for Ukraine within weeks. This statement implied that Ukraine's continued resistance was only possible due to American support, and that this support might not be unconditional. Trump suggested that continued U.S. assistance would depend on Ukraine's willingness to negotiate peace and warned that support might be withdrawn if progress was not made toward resolving the conflict. This conditional approach to support represented a significant shift in rhetoric and raised questions about the future of U.S.-Ukraine relations. The meeting concluded in an extraordinary manner, with President Trump abruptly declaring, "I think we've seen enough. This is going to be great television." The planned joint press conference was cancelled, as was the signing of the minerals agreement that had been on the agenda. President Zelensky and his delegation were escorted out of the White House, bringing a premature and unceremonious end to what was supposed to be a demonstration of bilateral cooperation. The international reaction to this meeting was swift and varied. European leaders expressed strong support for Ukraine, with French President Emmanuel Macron and German Chancellor Angela Merkel reaffirming their commitment to Ukrainian sovereignty and criticizing the approach taken by the U.S. administration. Russian officials, on the other hand, seemed pleased with the outcome. Former Russian President Dmitry Medvedev described the treatment of Zelensky as a proper rebuke, indicating satisfaction with the apparent discord between the United States and Ukraine. Within the United States, reactions were predictably divided along partisan lines. Republican Party members generally supported President Trump's position, emphasizing the need for accountability in the use of U.S. resources and suggesting that Ukraine should be more appreciative of American support. Democratic leaders, conversely, criticized the administration's handling of the meeting. They expressed concern that the confrontational approach might weaken important alliances and send the wrong message to adversaries around the world. This incident highlights the complexities of international diplomacy, especially in the context of an ongoing conflict with global implications. It demonstrates the challenges leaders face in balancing their national interests with the need for international cooperation and the maintenance of strategic alliances. The meeting between Trump and Zelensky serves as a reminder that diplomatic encounters are not always characterized by politeness and agreement. Sometimes they involve direct confrontations and uncomfortable truths. What makes this particular encounter so remarkable is not just the fact that it occurred, but that it played out so publicly, offering a rare glimpse into the realities of high-stakes international relations. As we reflect on this extraordinary diplomatic event, it's worth considering what it might mean for the future of U.S.-Ukraine relations and for the broader geopolitical landscape. Will this confrontation lead to a reassessment of U.S. support for Ukraine? Will it strengthen or weaken the international coalition supporting Ukrainian sovereignty? And perhaps most importantly, will it bring us closer to or further from a resolution to the conflict? These questions remain unanswered for now, but what is clear is that the meeting between Presidents Trump and Zelensky has added a new dimension to an already complex international situation. As developments continue to unfold, we'll be monitoring the situation closely and providing updates on this channel. The path forward will require measured dialogue, mutual respect, and a commitment to the principles that underpin international cooperation. Despite the tensions revealed in this meeting, there remains hope for a resolution that honors the sovereignty of nations and promotes lasting peace. The stakes are too high for anything less. Thank you for joining us for this analysis of the Trump-Zelensky meeting. If you found this information valuable, please consider subscribing to our channel for more in-depth coverage of international affairs. Until next time, stay informed and engaged with the world around you.